bottom of our heart, a very warm welcome in the very heart of Transylvania, Romania, Cluj-Napoca. Secondly, it's really a pleasure and honor to host such an event in our city. So I'm looking forward to see the conclusion and also to improve the quality of life and the quality of our relations between us and between institutions. As you know, maybe one image is more than 1,000 words. I will start my short presentation because in order to be in the spirit of the conference, I will apply the KISS strategy, keep it short and simple. I'm not sure if I'm going to realize, but I'll try to do that. So I'll invite you to see for 2 minutes and 30 seconds a short movie about Cluj-Napoca. Will make my job easier to present the city, and after that to present the conclusion according with the KISS strategy. So let's see the movie first.
Welcome to Transylvania, the land beyond the forest. And welcome to Cluj, the heart of Transylvania, Romania's fastest growing city and the most influential city in Western Romania. So, why might you love Cluj? Maybe it's the academic spirit. Since Cluj is home to Romania's top 10 universities, providing a highly educated workforce in more than 300 different specializations, from IT to medicine or agriculture, research and development. Cluj-Napoca is an internationally recognized medical center with a rich history in research and advanced treatment. Cluj-Napoca is the Romanian capital of clusters, IT, energy, agriculture, and creative industries. The European Commission selected Cluj to host, for the first time in Romania, the most important conference in the field of innovation, Open Innovation 2.0. Or it might be its constantly growing infrastructure, with modern highways and a well-connected airport serving more than 2.5 million passengers per year. You might also appreciate the city's blooming economic environment, with more than 25 banks represented here, and home of the biggest private Romanian bank. Cluj is a great place for business. We pride ourselves as Europe's Silicon Valley and the home of clusters. But IT is not the only high-end industry represented in Cluj. Some of the world's business leaders have offices here, and their businesses are constantly expanding. Cluj is a city with a rich heritage, but with a strong cosmopolitan philosophy. With an interesting mix of Romanians, Hungarians, Germans, and other nationalities living here, it's no wonder we are ranked Europe's #1 friendliest city towards foreigners. Did you know that Cluj has one of the highest living standards in all of Europe? This might come as a surprise, but with 2 international schools, several cultural events relevant on a continental scale, we pride ourselves in offering a 5-star living experience. By the way, did we mention that through its modern infrastructure and passionate audience, Cluj is Romania's sports and music capital? We are indeed proud of our city. But we know we would not be what we are without the influences from everybody interacting with us. So we strongly believe that together we can make Cluj better. So welcome, and we can't wait to share your vision and see how we can grow Cluj together.
Last but not least, we have a vision, and you are part of that vision. So the movie helped me to introduce the city, and now I'll go straight forward to the conclusions. So I used to describe our city using 4 letters T in order to express exactly what our city is. So in that perspective, definitely this chart will explain briefly about the added value and the most important things in our community. First, the talent. Yes, we have more than 100,000 students in 10 public and private universities, and this is the most important asset of our community. we know that the most important resource in the world is the human resource. So our aim is how can we keep our talents here? How can we bring our talents back in Cluj, in Romania? And this is possible with a high quality of life and at the same time moving exactly on democratic mentality and achievement of prosperity. So everything which is presented here is in the context of the quality of life. Because if you succeed to provide a quality of life, yes, you may have a chance to keep your talents here or to bring them home. As a consequence, we try to brand our city as a city of innovation, research, development, and IT. Innovation is not just connected with IT and technology. Innovation is also connected with social innovation, business innovation, human-to-human and personal relations innovations. So it's a broad perspective. But last but not least, we had last week 2 important international conferences on IT, on innovation, on startups. And we try to brand our city on artificial intelligence, blockchain, smart city, Internet of Things, medical research applied to Internet of Things. So this is the field where the future jobs comes from. So we are taking care about the future of the city, preparing the jobs of the future. So this would be the very brief component of talents. As always I said, do talents bring money in the city, or talents are bringing the money in the city? My perspective is very clear. Talents brings money. So we try to emphasize on talents because everything after that is connected with them. The other T, the other letters T, it's tolerance. As I said, we try to promote the concept of art of living together. Everybody should feel like home in our city. It doesn't matter they belong to Romanians, Hungarians, Germans, or other nationalities. And also the European Union did a survey, and according with this survey, our city is the friendliest city in Europe with foreigners. So I hope you also will feel a little bit our hospitality, and you are very, very welcome in the city. Last but not least, technology. As I said, to have technology in order to improve the quality of life, but technology is not an aim itself. It's just a tool in order to improve the quality of life. So, as I said, technology using to improve the quality of life. And the most important, I would say, is the last letter T, trust. You know that it's very difficult to gain, it's very easy to lose. And the most important aspect is to have a trust between public administration and citizens, public administration, business community, NGOs, university, the entire ecosystem. And now I'll move to the last chart, which will explain how our city is trying to build up a community based on collaboration between public administration and citizens and NGOs, universities and private businesses, in order to have, as I always said, an ecosystem, not an egocentric system. So I think this is the key of our community, the capacity of working together with all the stakeholders in the society in order to improve the quality of life in this city and to use the best advantages of our community. And we do have a lot of advantages, you being one of them, and the most important, human resource. So thank you for being here in Cluj-Napoca. I wish you success. I'm sure that you will be a leader and not a follower. Thank you so much and success.
Thank you so much. And I want to welcome also Nona Babitin, our professional certified coach from Finland, from Helsinki. And before to give the floor to our first keynote speaker, Lilia Dico, I will invite our friend Dan Mocanu to help us with the Mentimeter. So, thank you so much, Dan. Because we want to serve you better and better every time, we will kindly ask you to answer to some questions.
So please first grab your phone and go to menti.com and enter the code 383162. We'll be making use of technology to get engagement and inclusion. Excellent. There are some good bosses around. Thank you. We have a couple of more questions. It's going to take... Nope. Kind of. Maybe. Yes. Oh, okay. Wow. You're fast. Great. Nothing about managing the boss. Next. Okay. Pam pam. Aha, excellent. What best describes your role today? Thank you. Those of you who went forward, I hope you stopped at the stop. Well, there is a stop slide. Good thing we put it there. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for going through this exercise. Thank you.
It is my great privilege to introduce our first keynote speaker. It's about the most distinguished PhD, Mrs. Lilia Dicu. She represents Romania at this conference, and she was adopted by Cluj 2 years ago. She is Master Certified Coach, is accredited by the International Coaching Federation, and she is working in coaching area as executive coach and team coach of over 12 years. Let me give you some more figures. Lilia has coached almost 3,000 hours of coaching in 125 companies, businesses, and corporations in over 25 countries. She works with leaders and managers and transforming them and create thriving environments based on partnership, collaboration, and trust. She is also accredited by ICF as mentor, supervisor, and assessor, and she contributes to growth of professional coaches in Romania and all over the world. For the next 24 minutes, Lilia will stay with us and will share us an MCC perspective of how are the benefits of coaching and how a culture based on coaching, and how can we have it in our organization that benefits. It is my grateful for present here today, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome Lilia Dicu.
Thank you very much, Monica, and thank you so much for me inviting being here. Thank you for the honor of standing now in front of you and presenting what I know, little that I know. Maybe most of the things I will be telling to you, they are not new. Maybe just I am here to intrigue you, to look at the things from different perspective, and to see how it really triggers you, how it resonates with you, and what possible actions you might take after this day together with coaches, managers, and other people who are just taking charge and are claiming the leadership of their own lives. The world today looks very, very different from, say, how our parents or even grandparents have seen it previously. People are working now from cafeterias. People are working from homes. People are traveling and they are working from remote distances. Some of them are going to Asia. A friend of mine has bought a plot in Cuba and is working for Cuba. It was never, we could never imagine something like this, let us say, 10 years ago. If we would have had, we would have thought that someone is making jokes with us. And even now, in Romania, we have people who would not believe, oh, really, are you working from home? What type of job is that, apart of being a housewife? We have witnessing now so many professions we could never believe we will see. Just imagine that there are conferences of bloggers, vloggers, pardon me, what are they doing? How do they influence? Are they biggest influencers? Yes, they are. And they are people who are making a difference in how we see the world just by sharing how they see the world. And just let's imagine that biggest businesses we now know, they started from ideas which people believed in. Just remember about Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or even Mark Zuckerberg. Who could ever believe formally that people will meet in online realm and start families? We knew about that, but we are living those times right now. People do not meet and connect anymore in cafes or in restaurants or in high schools. They set for their lives much later. We are living unprecedented times. We have never seen something like that before. What to say? We could order not only food, clothes, we could do our banking from home. So, in other words, the digital technology made our life completely intertwined and made us somehow to be able to travel, even virtually. We have here the conferences for worldwide leaders just sitting, being in front of your computer. Our relatives and friends, they are traveling abroad and they are sending us pictures, they are tweeting, they are putting on Facebook all the images, and we feel as if we are there. So that, of course, not only changes the way we see the life, not only changes our beliefs, but it completely changes how we integrate this into our lives and how we start to act. So everything we thought impossible is possible now. That makes us to come to impossible decisions about how we really want to drive our own lives or maybe lives of others. And because we are here speaking about leaders, and I saw that most of the people here, they are now working as managers in organizations, we need to understand that organizations, they are not some creations which are living a part of the society. They are something which are mirroring how societies are formed and how they respond to the environment. So in this new social context, we have who are not longer responsible only for KPIs, targets, for how business grow. Those people are responsible how to make people in the organization committed, how to make them to contribute, how to make them to feel good and to be at their utmost. Everything we knew about organizations are changing right now. And of course, there are some places people do not care what employees or workers are feeling. And of course, there are places when values and purpose may be not important. But people will cease to work for companies and in places when they do not see meaning, when they are not connected to something bigger than themselves. And we know now that through everything we learned, through every experience which we encountered in our life, we are more and more drawn to acceptance, to collaboration, to partnership. We are moving away from competition. So the shift, major shift now, is from what we have seen in our oldest and best movies, like You Are Paid to Do Your Job, is for leaders to come in the midst of people they are working with and to ask, how can I help you? From probably you have seen this movie with You Work For Me and I'm not interested in what you really think, you just go and do it, to now, well, let's see whether it serves the purpose. Let's see whether it has a meaning. We all know, even when I was little, very often people would say me, or teachers, or even in my first working places, I would hear like, you're not here to have emotions, keep your emotions away, keep your emotions at home. Well, the difference now is that we are emotional people, whether we want to accept it or not, and we cannot keep those apart. And who we are really matters. And who we are, it is the way we lead people. So it's not what we do, it's who we are making a difference. So people are working more and more shared voice, and they are gathered for shared vision. Maybe some of you know a book which is very, very popular right now in the organizations, which is called Reinventing Organizations, which is written by Frederic Laloux. And Frederic Laloux is going as back as 10,000 years. And he's presenting in his book the concept that organizations, they have appeared at a certain stage of human evolution, and they represent the worldview of the leaders in those organizations. So if we go and just make a quick glance on what Laloux is proposing us, is to see that when the first labor division started, and this might be in the late 800 or the beginning of 1900, last century, power were something which was governing the organizations. The leaders would be the one who would rule through fear. Other people would be submissive, and there would be only few chosen who would say in the entire organization what to do and how to do things. We could very much compare those organizations to a wolf pack. So the power belonged to the character, to the person who was exhibiting the biggest will and who was making others to obey or to be submissive. Then we go to another type of organization, and we could call those organizations, amber organizations. We could still witness those amber organizations today because they somehow represent the fishbone of our society. We still have church, we still have military, we still have schools, which we are now complaining do not represent the way we see the world and the way we want the world to evolve. I'm sorry, I'm having troubles with technology right now. So in this type of organization, the hierarchy is very, very important. People are distributed in clusters. People are doing what they need to do through obeying completely to their job descriptions. And this type of organization, they brought something which previously red organizations could not. They made possible endeavors for long-term purposes. I do apologize for it, so probably we need a break to think about it a little bit. So even if we are living in the era of digitalization and technology, sometimes it fails us. We need to go back then to our personal power. Good. I'll continue my presentation, and whenever I have the stick back, I will show you and some slides as well. So in this type of organizations, in amber organizations, we could still see them right now. And probably all of us in our lifetime experience, we somehow were connected to them. We all have been rather through schools or we all have a kind of spiritual practice, or our parents or grandparents, so we know how it is structured. What it makes possible is so that many people in different way would be taken into the system and would be brought with the system to the next level. The next type of organizations Frederic Laloux is naming, they are orange organizations. And in these orange organizations, we already have this pyramidal structure. We have the situation where we need to win in front of our competitors. And this is where the innovation is driving its place. It's this place where people need more freedom, so that leaders need to give more of their power to people who would really influence, people who would come with bright ideas. So in this type of the organization, people are feeling that they are starting to contribute more and more. Leaders are shaping and modeling the way people are acting together. So if we look at the red organizations, when fear was paralyzing people and there was only one or few chosen, in this type of organization we have more people who would envision what would be that target, what would be that goal we all are driving to, and they would make people to want to belong and to want to participate in this bigger target which we want to achieve together. The evolution of society and evolution of us as human is making us little by little to say, well, wait a minute, those which we are hearing, targets, businesses and everything, they are good, but they do not represent me entirely as a person. This is how the organizations shift into green. In those green organizations, we are speaking much more about values, about us behaving as a family. We are moving into acceptance of ourselves and of others. So we still have leaders, but those leaders are much more inclined to hear what people have to say, to work with people and to do something with people, not to the people. If we go further, the next one would be teal organization. In Romania, we have some teal organizations, but there are not so many. In other countries yet, where the development is much more advanced than in our country, we witness many of these type of organizations. In teal organizations, they behave like living bodies, like birds in the fall. So they are self-regulating themselves. We don't have anymore one leader to manage others. Everyone is a leader. Everyone is important with their talents, with their gifts. Everyone can contribute, and the power is driven from within. The power of peers is making people to have decisions which would not only privilege a few chosen, but which will privilege the very scope and essence of existing of the company. And in these organizations, when we speak about the fact that the purpose prime against everything, we are speaking about holacracy. We know how we have moved from autocracy, when one person was driving, to democracy, the power of people, several people, and holacracy, the power of all people. We might not be there right now, but Frederic Laloux gave this work to the world, and now it is easier for us to understand what cluster, what category we might fall under. Because, of course, we might see some red organizations or red characters in our orange organizations. We can see the organization is moving to green and people are having much more sense sense in what they are doing. They have much more commitment, and they are glad, and they are happy. Or we might have just these orange organizations which are looking for profit, and nothing matters but how to meet those KPIs. So we are now in a mixed era where all those meet together. Yet, if we are looking into tomorrow, and if we know now that it's not so easy to hire people anymore, because people are having expectations, they want to have their own experience, they want their well-being life. So it makes nothing of organizations but to go back and to see how do they act. So it's not the if you are not disrupt yourself, you will not exist. It is if you do not evolve, you will not exist. Because people who really contribute, they would go to work for somewhere where they will feel that it is really worthy. And maybe some of you who are now working in organizations, you would think, well, yeah, it's interesting, it's nice to see all that, but what does it have to do with me? So it has to do with you because in many organizations, even if sometimes they do not recognize what's happening because nobody is sitting and putting their head onto it, things are changing. The rate of turnover, the rate of engagement, they are giving you dates about what is really happening in your work environment. So as a leader, you might think, okay, but how I might be a leader with green characteristics working in an orange culture, and I do believe that we need to evolve. And how do we do that? So the first thing is just to be aware of the challenges you are facing, because some of the times you cannot choose the situation or how people are acting, but you always can choose who you are in a given situation and how you choose to engage and to respond to this situation. So the second question probably to ask if you are willing to transform the organization is how do you meet your role in the organization? And what is the organizational role generally? Again, each situation needs to be approached uniquely. Because we are living unprecedented times, there is no recipe for what we are encountering right now. That means that we need to be daring, and that we need to be compelling, and that we need to be creative. Because sometimes we know the answers, nobody else's know, and we just do not have the courage to go forward with those answers. But they might be just the brilliant strategy to address in our particular situation. Again, I meet many people who might say, well, I reached the top of my career, I don't know what to do outside of my world, and I don't know that probably if I can find the organization I can work for. So there is a good news and a bad news. The good news is that you could still grow even if you are in your own organization, and the bad news is that you have to work for it. Because you have to put what you have best up front, and by doing that, you would influence the organization, you will influence others, you will create partnerships, and that will create flourishing workshops for working environments for so many people who are looking up to you. So now, continuous development and us understanding how things work, it's not only a freak, it is not a need. It is how the consciousness evolves, so we all will get there, whether we want it or not. And now, because we are in coaching, and coaching is an experience, and it is an experience, do it now, I would invite you just to make this switch of what we know as about being a part, which was primer, to the whole. And you know, we were trained to be very standardized. We were trained everybody to do our little piece. Now we are deemed to embrace the whole, the ontological, to see how it looks through different perspectives. So I bet that many of you, if not all, have the situation when you had a dilemma and you needed to decide in your life. So probably for some of you who are very, very trusting, your rational intelligence, you would say, well, think rationally. Don't let your heart or your emotion get into your worries, because when you think rational, you are tending to take the best decision ever. So this is how sometimes probably we are taking decisions. Sometimes we are thinking about another type of intelligence. Well, you know, in this matter, I can't think but with my heart. My heart needs to tell me, and I know that rationally I should have taken a different decision, but my heart tells me that it might look wrong, but this is the right one. And finally, many of us probably have instances in our life when we have this gut feeling, gut telling us, this instinctual intelligence, which will just make us stand and jump or run and do something which we feel is right to do. We have all these three intelligences built up in our unique system. So the news is that we don't need to choose anymore. We need to align those intelligences and to see if they were three executives working for us, how do they make their best choice so that we go into the right direction and we take the best possible solution for ourselves. So I invite you to turn to your left and to grab a partner. Just good. Now, as you have a partner, I invite you to think of a current dilemma in your life. It might be big or small, it really doesn't matter. It is only something you do not know whether to take it, well, should I think rationally or should I listen to my heart? It doesn't matter whether the size is big or small. It matters that it is only important and relevant to you. So think of a dilemma. I will give you some minutes to have a conversation with your mate and to see if you will address your intelligence as an executive. Think about this person who is sober and who knows the answer to everything. This person who is now flawless, no flaw. This person who knows everything. This is your mind. So put your hand, one will be talking, another will be listening. Put your hand at your mind and say to your mate, what would this mind executive tell you about your situation? Then you will roll over towards your heart, and this is the person who is extremely caring, compassionate, warm. This executive is never judging you. So then put your arm on the heart and see, well, if this executive would work, what would he or she tell towards this dilemma of mine? And finally go to the last one, who is the most agile, who is very instinctual and who just knows from the gut, and ask this executive, what would he or she tell you about the dilemma you are facing? And then let them three talk, and you might not come to completion with this exercise today, but at least it will be a first step for you understanding how to integrate all these three disciplines. I will give you 5 minutes to have a conversation on one round, and I will call you back when the time is over. Thank you. 5 minutes.
Mai este încă un slide cu mulțumesc cu question
person speaking and another listening. I will give you 5 more minutes so that you change roles. Another 5 minutes.
Îl te las aici singură. Extraordinar de descurcat și Rodica a fost
Well, I invite you to take this exercise home and to use it whenever you have a dilemma, whenever your friend will ask you, well, you know, I have this decision to make and I don't know really which way to go. This is the beauty of coaching, because really we need to take advices from ourselves. We need to develop this capability to tap into our potential, into our energy, into our creativity, and to find the best possible answer for ourselves. Because if we are coming on planet Earth, certainly we are coming here not only to have jobs and to sweat and to suffer and to sacrifice. We come here to experiment and to experience. How can we choose? How can we meet people, situations? What difference does it make the way we appear in front of them? So if we were looking at our existence in a linear way, it's not linear anymore, and we know that. No. Right now, we have so much information about how we act as people, which could go around the world something like 100 times. So it's biggest, highest complexity we have never seen before. And in this complexity, we cannot come with linear or complex solutions. It should be simple, but it should be different as well. So in this, with this different and new approach, we come not only in our families, we come in the world we are living in, and it represents itself through the communities we are part of, through the workplaces, through friendships we are having. Yet sometimes we meet people and we haven't spoke for a long time, and we see that we have nothing in common with them, just because probably they haven't changed their attitude and they see us small. Yet we know that we are growing and that we are complex and we are unique. That means that we need to change attitude towards others and towards ourselves to show this uniqueness and to be able to enjoy the journey we came for. And finally, coaching is one professional domain which will make people, which will enable them to have the courage, to have the curiosity and the passion to embrace their own world. And if we are speaking about leaders and organizations, for them to come forward daring, not only to lead their lives, but to inspire and to make others lead their own lives at their maximum potential and with their biggest and highest contribution. Thank you very, very much. I hope you enjoyed and maybe are leaving with some of the questions, because in coaching the answer is not so important. Because if we have the right question, sometimes we can even remain speechless. And the rightest answer will come a little bit later, and it will be the truest one. Thank you very, very much for your patience and for bearing with me. And I wish you a wonderful day.
Thank you, Lilia. Always a pleasure to have you with us. You're always an inspiration. So for our next speaker, Master Certified Coach by the International Coach Federation, André Ribeiro has developed 3 businesses from startup to several millions in sales, in e-commerce, travel, and online marketing. He lectures in executive education and MBAs in Europe and Asia. André facilitates coaching, mentoring, and training in English, in Spanish, in Portuguese. He brings a unique blend of expertise in coaching, international business, and multiculturalism. Ladies and gentlemen, André Ribeiro.
Thank you, Lourenço. Molto mesco. Benvenuti. I'm here to share with you some ways of being, some ways that we are. And this is something that I use on a daily basis in my practices, and also with the executives all over the world. So we do coaching, and coaching is a partnership. So today I'm inviting you to partner with me It's going to be an experiential thing that we're going to do. So we're going to talk, and then we're going to experience it in ourselves. And also, we will have a practice at the end that you can take and use whenever you want. So we're going to break it down into 3 pieces. The being that we are being now. So we talk a lot about technology, and we had some references about the companies and organizations. Ourselves, we are technology. So we talk about the iPhone, the iPad, and so on. And this is more focused on the I. So we are using the technology, and we are technology. There are 3 distinctions that I would like to invite you to take from here, which are the language, the emotions, and the body. This is what we are using all the time. We are using it right now. So language, emotions, and the body. And coaching is a partnership, and we are as equals in a partnership. So even Olympic athletes have coaches. Coaching is something that you choose if you'd like to get better and improve and have new perspectives. So the practice that I like to invite you to do, so we're going to do first outside in and then inside out. So just notice right now your body. How are you breathing? Just keep breathing as you are. Just notice where your breathing is coming from. Is it here, more deep, in between? Just notice your posture, how you're sitting. Are you holding yourself in terms of the tensions, the muscles? We do need to have a little bit of tension to hold ourselves. Sometimes we do it a bit too much, and then we have to shift, because we cannot be tense all the time in the same places. And now, just go to the emotion. What emotion are you feeling right now, if any? Just focus your attention. And in terms of language, are there some words that you're speaking to yourself while you're listening to mine? So we have this internal voice, and if you're asking what is it talking about, that's the voice. You might have noticed that before. So a couple more distinctions. So just right now we're just paying attention and experimenting how we are being at the moment. Just watching how we are. So we mentioned the body. In the body we have the muscles, we have the breathing, we have the posture, we have many things that we work. And as I mentioned, this is daily practice that I do, and I will share with you, also with many executives, because this is a different type of knowledge. We can read the books, we can watch, take a lot of information, which we are doing every day. This is really experiential. This is how we use ourselves. So in terms of emotions, we are having emotions all the time. And we shift from emotion to emotion. So we're not all day in the same emotion. And then we have something deeper, which are moods. These are emotions that we keep for years and years, or the ones that we practice a lot, although we might not notice that we're practicing. And we can divide emotions also in 3 categories, just the basic ones. So it depends if we are, in terms of facts, do we accept what has happened or don't we accept? If there are things that we don't accept, that we live in a mood of resentment for many years about something that happened in the past. If we accept, we are in acceptance. Okay, something happened, I accept it, move on. Then another distinction in terms of moods or emotions are the possibility. Do I accept that something is possible? And then I assess that I live in the world of possibility. Or if I don't accept, I kind of resignate myself, this is not possible, I will never be able to do this. Something that you experimented as a child, didn't happen, then never try again. And then the third distinction that I would like to invite you is about the, in terms of what we accept as our anxiety or wonder. So this is about curiosity. So if we are accepting change, we are in wondering. You can be in wondering now. If we are a bit uncertain about what's going to happen in the future, we live in a mood of anxiety. And this might all sound familiar to you, because these are the basic emotions. We all live through this. Thing is that if we get stuck in them, then we cannot move. And then we go back to language. So language is like, we are like the fish in the water. We don't even realize sometimes that we are living in the technology of language. We are so immersed in it. And words can be so powerful. Just the declarations that we do. We all have to do declarations and arrangements to be here today. So to give you some examples of expressions that we use that can change the whole of our lives. You're hired, you're fired. Just a few words, if someone comes in here and says, there's a fire, everyone will exit very quickly. Or if this was like a contest, and say everyone in this room has won a car, your emotions would trigger very fast. So just notice the emotions that are going on through your body, how your body is, and what language you're using. It's very important the declarations that we make and the assessments that we make from others. Because this will give us the possibilities, the certainty, and will either help us to move on and will be serving us, or will be holding us back or getting us stuck. So I work with executives both in their professional lives and their personal lives. And later we will talk a bit about relationships as well. So there's another way of another perspective. So coaching is a lot about giving different perspectives, different points of view, because we tend to think about things the way that we are. And then if we can partner with a coach, someone that can accompany us on our journey, even for a few moments, we can see things from a different point of view. So different point of view of ways of being is about shapes of being. So who we are. The shapes of language that we use, shapes of emotions, and the shapes of the body. And just making tiny little shifts, which then bring big shifts. Sometimes there's a tendency to want to do the quick fixes or the big shifts, but just a small one, as we will experience very soon, can already start shifting everything. So we are already practicing every day. We are practicing all the time, every day. We might not be aware of what we practice. So we are masters at being ourselves. And some things are serving us, some things we would like to change. But in order to change, we need to be aware. We need to be present. We need to know what to do and have the distinctions to be able to do it. And this is very basic. This is very fundamental. But this is also very vital. This is the thing that changes everything. Differences that makes the difference. So in life, we go on through the world in our journey day to day. Just happened today to everyone here. There are things that happen like we expected. It's okay, we go in the flow of life. And there are many things that don't happen as we expected. Something is late, something is not in the right place. We experience mini breakdowns. And then we have the big ones. Professional, personally. And we can learn how to deal with them in a better way. So right now I'd like to invite you for a practice, and then we'll also open this for a conversation, so you can ask all your questions. I'd like to invite you to a practice, which is just pair up in twos. And one person can extend their arm first, then we will shift. I will invite Lilia to partner with me. So just choose the person that will extend the arm. Someone next to you. Just pair up in twos. So one person extends their arm. And now we're going to do an experiment which is a stressor, something that happens. Something stress in your life, minor one, so we don't trigger the whole system. And the other person can put the hand like they're going to grab. Yeah, just don't hold yet. Just like this, yeah. Just like this. Can you already notice the language, the emotion, your body? And now you can grab. Okay? Where is your attention now? Is it still in the outside world? Just talk to your partner and say, notice what you're noticing in terms of your language, your body, your emotion. Share with your partner. Okay. Feel very connected with you. Okay, let's get back. Just continue. So now we continue to hold the arm, and we're going to do something called centering. So this is something that we can all do every day. So you just breathe in and straighten up. Just use your body, straighten a bit your posture. And breathe out and relax the front, lower your shoulders. Sometimes we tend to tense up the shoulders when we straighten up. And now, yeah, we'll go up. So we are centering now. First step, posture. Breathe in, straighten up. Breathe out, soften the front. Relax your shoulders. Second step, deep breathing. So we're breathing in and breathing through our belly. So really deep through here. And the inhale, the exhale is longer than the inhale. So 3 deep breaths. I'm doing it with you. The reason why we exhale longer is because when we inhale, we are in our activating system, so we are alert. And when we exhale, you can keep your eyes open. Because when we are having the breakdown, when we are having issues in life, we usually are with our eyes open. We exhale longer, so when we inhale, we are activating the sympathetic nervous system, which is our alert system, which keeps us awake and alert and able to have this conversation. And when we are exhaling, we are activating the parasympathetic nervous system. So we are calming down the rest and digest system. Just 3 deep breaths. This has already been researched, and this is a technique I use a lot with myself and a lot of coach executives. Just 3 deep breaths allows you to relax. And the third step, you inhale, and when you exhale, you think about something or someone that makes you smile. So now that we've done this practice of centering, just exchange some words with your partner. How are you feeling now? How are you sensing it? Your language, your body, your emotion. Okay. So you can let go now. Thank you. Just say. And now the other partner is going to experiment. So extend your arm. And just keep your hand there. Just notice the expectation. Just waiting for it, just knowing that something is coming. So in life, we also sometimes know that something is coming. I'm going to have that presentation. I'm going to have to talk to that person. Ooh, sometimes even this is already more stressful than just do it, please. And now you can grab. Grab your partner. And notice where your attention goes. Your language, your emotion, your body. And share with your partner what your language, your emotion, and your body is feeling now. And now we go into centering. So same thing we did before with your partner. Just the person that's extending their arms. Just breathe in and straighten your posture. Breathe out and relax a bit and open the front of your body. And then 3 deep breaths. Inhale, exhale longer than you inhale. And breathe deeply from your belly. Deep breathly. And then inhale. And then exhale and think of something or someone that makes you smile. Just share with your partner how is it now, your language, your emotions, and your body. Notice the difference? Okay, you can let go now. Thank you, Lily. So you can just do the centering, the holding of the arm. It's a bit more to finish with the partners. Can we come back? Did you notice the difference while you were centered? So just the 3 deep breaths is a great practice. Can you come back here with your focus, your attention? Just the 3 deep breaths is something that you can use. And I use, and the executives that I work with use all the time. So just before a meeting, during a meeting, nobody knows that you're doing deep breathing. After the meeting, when you have to speak to that person that you know that can change your state. Even when, before writing that email that you sometimes regret after pressing the send button. So sometimes executives come to the coaching session and they're quite stressed because they're ongoing, they have some situation. Well, a lot of times this happens. They're running from meeting to meeting, back to back. They're just, sometimes their breath is still, and we just do the 3 deep breaths. Or they're just talking about a really stressful situation with someone above or next to them or that works with them. And then after the deep breathing or the centering, we can use our resources much better. We can access the whole being. We can think much more clearly. So I mentioned relationship in the video that I sent. It's the biggest ship of all. We all live in relationship. We also immersed in relationships. And we have one primary relationship. So everyone here had someone to take care of them when they were born. Human beings, we only survive if we have love and affection, someone to take care of us in the early stages of our lives. And then to be healthy and well, we also continue to need good relationships. So I'd like to invite you to think about your primary relationship at the moment. The number one relationship that you have with someone. And then we'll do some centering. I'll invite you now to stand up. And we'll go a bit beyond in this centering process. So first step, posture. Breathe in and straighten up. Breathe out and relax your shoulders. Soften the front, open to the world. Open eyes, because we are engaged with the world. So this is bodyfulness. I prefer the term bodyfulness because we're using the whole body. And if you notice when it's meditation or mindfulness, you focus on the breath. You use parts of your body. So in reality, I prefer the term bodyfulness as more accurate of what we're doing. Breathe in, breathe out. So the posture, first step. Second step, deep breathing. Breathing from the belly. So in yoga, you do this. You You can even put your hand here to feel your hand go up and down as you inhale and exhale. So exhale longer. Open eyes. Some people have tendency to close. Open eyes because we are engaged with life. And third step, think of something or someone that makes you smile. And now we go a bit beyond that. We go to expansion. So everyone here has a personal space, you know, that someone gets close to you, you kind of feel it, like a comfort zone. So just extend your energy now as you breathe in and breathe out. Just imagine it's like a bubble or a balloon. It starts to expand. Just start to expand your energy. And now inclusion. Just think of your primary relationship, that person which is the key relationship that you have in your life, and bring that person into your space. And now resources, just think of something that you could be, just one characteristic that you'd like to be more with that person. Could be patient, caring, kind, gentle, loving. And just add 1% to what you're already doing. Just a little bit more in that space. Put that energy there. So we are doing expansion and inclusion in the centering process. Okay, thank you. You can sit down. So this centering practice is something that I do on a daily basis. I do it with a lot of executives, and you can practice it even standing in a meeting, because you're just breathing, just doing small shifts in your posture, and you're just doing small changes in your state. So we get into all these shapes. So it's all, we talked about practice, and we practice every day. We've practiced hundreds of thousands of times being angry or being upset about something. So that's why we need to practice, and we do this very day in low active states. When we are okay, we can practice. That's the reason for practicing, because it could be boring just to do mindfulness or meditation or sitting there doing something. If you know the reason why you are doing it, it can be very helpful to really implement it in your life. So by doing it and getting your body, your emotions, and your language in the right state, you can then use it in situations that really require it. So I use this myself, and it works, even in situations that 0 to 10, being 10 the highest, being a 9. So I've been able to do deep breathing and shift the posture, because if you notice, if some stressor comes in, the tendency of the body is to shrink and the breathing to be more shallow. If you do this practice, you just open up and deep breathly, then you can deal with the situation in a totally different way. So with executives and with ourselves, it happens all the time. You have this person that you have to speak with, you have to do a public presentation, some stressful situation is going on. Just tiny shifts, just notice how you're breathing and change that a little bit. Notice your posture, tensions of the muscles in your body, do a couple of shifts. If you need, move. A lot of what happens, so today, it's also called embodiment. Bodyfulness is a word that's still starting to be used. There's one book that came out last year. This is getting more and more interest from everyone, even in companies, because it starts to shift from us taking care of the body when we are outside of work or when we go to the gym or special situations, and doing it all over throughout the day. So you have the standing desks where people can walk and run while they're working, and many different things. So now I'd like to open for Q&A, and we open a space for dialogue, for conversation. If we can have the microphones for people that would like to ask questions or have something, and then we can really use the collective intelligence in the room and our partnership in dialogue, generating meaning together. This work is also sometimes referred to in ontological coaching. So we're going beyond the language, we are using the whole system. And bodyfulness, using the body as a shortcut to the mind. So if anyone has a question or would like to share something, please raise your hand. Even your experience during the exercise.
Thank you. So how do executives accept that kind of emotions while coaching? We know that sometimes in the executive world, executives tend to get tough, not exchanging emotions or probably touching them or having those. How do you manage this?
So we're all human beings. So sometimes I only introduce these practices on the second, third, fourth, fifth session. Usually when the relationship is much more connected. I'd like the word intimacy, and in English you can use into me see. And I also like this kind of words in English, because you could use the word guru, which means teacher. And guru, if you spell out the word, is G, U are you. So you are you. It's not like the teacher is outside. You are your own master. Everyone here is their own master. You are your own leader. There's one more over there. So even I lead sometimes without saying. So the person gets very stressed. Sometimes they're moving their ring, wedding ring. You know, there's some tension there. There are other things that you notice when people like just, this is something key in coaching. When the person, you ask them a question or they're talking about something and they just have a deep like, it's very important shifts that you can notice. And you can lead with the body. Without saying that you're doing, you can just center. Like if you're in a meeting or you're with someone, so I get these executives very stressed in front of me and I'm just relaxed. So the tendency when we are working with someone else in a connection, a partnership, is either I go up to their level or they connect with mine. So we meet at the same, so like 15, 20 minutes and they're more relaxed speaking. I'm just leading with the body. I'm not even using the language. Just using the voice, deep breathing. The first session, I don't need to tell them. Second, third session, I share with them what I did. Please go ahead.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned earlier that we have 3 types of intelligence. And you said that we should focus more on aligning these 3 types of intelligence when we make a decision. Can you explain a little bit more about how we align these 3 types of intelligence?
Thank you, yes. So 3 types of intelligence. This connects to the presentation of Lilia. There are many types of intelligence, but we're now using the body. So head, heart, and hara. In Japanese, hara is the center here. So this is the center of our body, the center of gravity. We use this to move. We use this in dances. We use this in martial arts. We use this as leaders when we are walking into a room and everyone is watching us, or we're public speaking. So the center of our body is around 2 to 3 fingers below the belly button, below the navel, so here. So aligning the 3 centers, so it's already been researched. We have neurons in the brain, of course, in the heart, and in the gut, which is quite surprising. So we have these 3 really, as far as we know now, because still being found out that there's more intelligence all over our body. Aligning it is aligning it both in terms of breathing and including the 3, head, heart, and hara, and also with our posture. So sometimes we are misaligned, and you'll notice people hunching back or hunching forward. Sometimes the heart goes a bit in or out. So this might be the chest puffing out, just making a stand. Or the belly is also misaligned. This happens a lot with many people because we're not conscious of our body. So aligning it and using the 3 intelligence. And then we can use, like Lilia was demonstrating, so we can just, and I like also to put the hand to activate that center. So if we have some issue that we're dealing with, practice. So the head, we already are very used to using it. So what is our head saying if we have to make a decision? What does our heart has to say? And this sometimes is challenging, so put the hand to intensify and connect, and ask the heart. Don't ask the mind, because often we ask the heart and the head gives the answer. So if the heart is answering, what kind of answer will the heart give? It will give an emotion. It will give something it wants to feel. Anything else, probably the head speaking, if it's something that sounds more rational. And then the gut is much more, the gut is much more instinctual. So it's what is your hunch. And then when you're aligned, or at least you consult with these 3 centers, your decisions are much more clear. And you can also align the posture with the breathing as well. So the voice can come from here, here, or here. Where do you think the voice will be deeper? Thank you. More question?
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Do you practice Qigong?
I like Qigong. What I do sometimes often is just YouTube videos. So we live in this wonderful world that you can just press Qigong, Q-I-Gong. It's basically, it's kind of just these slow movements, flowing movements. So each person has their own movements. The right practice is the right practice for you. So each one of us will have their own. Like as coaches, we have our own specific styles. So my preferred type of coaching is executives, because I've always worked with business and I love business world and finances and so on, technology. And one of my niches in coaching is family businesses. So I love to work with family businesses and changing the whole business. In terms of practices, like, so for me, meditation, mindfulness, staying still is quite limited. I do it sometimes, like very short, 1 to 3 minutes. But I'm much more, I like to move. And you have moving meditations. You can search on the internet, Osho meditations. So Qigong is a great way to use the body to move, to get connected, bodyfulness. There are others like martial arts, there are dances. So Aikido is one of the big practices of the people that I've studied with and that are doing the embodiment leadership work. They use a lot Aikido, because Aikido is a lot about centering and dealing with external stimulus. And this grabbing and shifting and reacting and just going back to your center. Any more questions?
Good morning. Good morning, Andre. Thank you so much for making us aware and reminding us about the fact that we have a body which sometimes we are not connected and we are not aware how easy it is to just remind ourselves where we are, what we are doing. Related, my name is Daniela, by the way. I'm a physical educator. I'm coming from Qatar, from a sports organization, Aspire named. And I just want to find out your opinion for a scenario. I am a facilitator. I'm organizing a workshop, regardless the theme, the subject, the content, and I would like to have an icebreaker. How would you feel these 2 exercises that you just did applied as an icebreaker, or if you have another suggestion for us, a small 2, 3, 5 minutes icebreaker exercise, which makes me sure that during the 4 or 5 hours of my workshop, I will have all my colleagues engaged and part of what we are doing together. Thank you.
Thank you, Anya. So for icebreakers, what I suggest is to activate the 3 centers, something that engages. And this, again, coming back to coaching, sometimes people come to coaching sessions and say, I would like to get your advice. One of the rules of coaching is we don't give advice, so we ask questions to get what people, because we already know a lot. Although sometimes our tendency, because that's what we learn in school, is to ask questions or ask someone to give us the answer. I'm sure, Anya, that you have a lot of great ideas, because you're a physical therapist, you know how to use the body. I would just suggest with you, what can you do that engages the whole centers of the body, so that they really connect. And it's relevant to them, so they connect with their own experience. Yes, more comments or questions. And I would love if someone would like to share their experience during the practices that we did. So the centering practice, how were you feeling? There were shifts.
Someone question?
So I'm just going to recap remember some of the things we talked about. So we talked about 3 ways of being, and we broke down to 3, and we took it outside in, so being aware of ourselves. And then we took the inside out, just using the centering and dealing with the world. We talked about the practice of centering, and I remember the steps. First one is the posture, so breathe in, straighten up. Breathe out and relax your shoulders. Second step is deep breathing. Just this alone, as I mentioned, you can use all the time, and it's very useful. Just deep breathing. Exhale longer than you inhale, and look to breathe from your belly. And the third step, think of something or someone that makes you smile. And then if you want to continue this, you can use expansion, so you just expand your personal space. And you can expand it as far as you want. You can fill up this whole room, every corner, in like a bubble. So it's 3D, a sphere. So it goes in front, above, back, below, sides, everywhere. And then inclusion. You can bring person or people that you'd like to include in your space. So, for example, when I do this with executives, if they're having a challenging meeting with their team, just bring the whole meeting room and everyone in their team and include them in their energy field. Don't need to say anything to them. Or if they're having this challenging conversation with someone, just put that person there. So we had a case a couple of weeks ago where this executive had a really challenging conversation with someone that was working with him. He was not performing, and he was being asked to fire that person or sort them out. And we did this exercise, and we also connected to the heart, and that changed the whole conversation. So he wasn't talking at the person. We're not talking at the person. We are having a partnership with the person. We're connecting on a much deeper level. We're with someone. We're together. So he was able to find out things about this person that was working with him that he didn't know, and that person found out things that they didn't know either. So they established a much deeper relationship that would ever be possible just talking from the head. So this is a practice that you can use, and I suggest that you develop your own practice, something that fits you, and you do it every day, if you can, several times a day. Because as I said, we've used to practice thousands of times certain reactions, even thoughts of language, emotions, dealing with certain situations and people. And by shifting that and preparing ourselves, practicing, then we can activate that when we need. So just the suggestion here is for you to commit to a daily practice. Just reflect briefly now. What are you going to do on a daily basis? What is this tiny shift that you're going to make in your life and that you're going to apply? And you can think about the every day that you will do it and the specific situation that you will apply it. So this is something also that I do a lot in coaching, is implementing within the session, already going through a specific situation where this can be applied. Whatever we're working on can be applied. Doing a small shift, and then it increments. So we did 1% of whatever thing that you'd like to improve. So would it be more gentle, more caring, more patient, more listening? Because just this small shift would start the big shifts. Sometimes when we go with a big shift, it fires back. And also to add about the language, there's two very important things about language. So one is speaking, And the other one that's sometimes quite forgotten is listening. So listening is crucial. Everyone is speaking and listening, even people that cannot speak or listen, they are doing it in their own ways. So we are processing informations. And the way that we listen can change the whole conversation. So it's not just the words being said, it's what's being listened to. And we listen in different ways. Any more questions or comments? One there. Yeah, feedback from people starting to practice this. Thank you. Yes, I've got executives that are practicing. I'm surprised because they say, yeah, I've been doing this on a regular basis. We also sometimes work on wellness. So people in companies are just human beings, irrespective of their position, hierarchically or in terms of wealth or whatever. So sometimes we work also in what I call eat, move, sleep, wellness. Just they like to use the coach also for practicing that. So some people are practicing centering on a daily basis, and they're becoming very aware of the emotions, their breathing. So just one executive was, the other day we were talking and he was saying, oh, I've had this conversation with this person and I got really pissed off. And then I was there like that for hours and hours just thinking about that conversation. And I was like, yeah, you're human. So what we did was kind of breathe and not try to suppress that feeling. Instead of trying to push it back, just being with it and being curious about it. And then do small shifts, breathing, posture, and language. Okay, anything else? Okay, mulțumesc. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So everyone, quick break. See you back in 20 minutes. Thank you. Enjoy the coffee. Enjoy the networking.
Laurențiu.
Daniela din Qatar. Am vorbit.
Ok,
cea
ok,
care ți-a
așa,
făcut
Daniela,
assessmentul
da,
de două ori.
super,
C'est
da.
moi,
C'est
Picasso.
toi.
Așa am pus.
Bien sûr. Avec plaisir.
Așa. Allez, s'il vous plaît. Mulțumesc.
Cu drag.
So welcome back, everyone. Let's slowly but surely take our seats. So everyone, I just want to check the energy levels in the room. So can you, if this is true for you, so if the following statement is true for you, I feel being here is a very good use of my time, can you make a strange sound? Come on, can you give that another try? Just make a strange sound. Okay, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Good, so I love the smiles on your faces. You all are looking great, fabulous. I'm filled with positive energy just looking at you. And me here getting the chance to present our next speaker is a very special moment for me personally. So I got in touch with Richard's work a few years ago, and I have to say that through his books and courses and videos and whatnot, I got a chance to have a very, very wide lens through which I see myself and the world. Richard has this gift to bring surgical clarity into the very fabric of who we are, what makes us happy, and eventually what makes us fulfilled. So I'm going to stop there. Richard, can you join us on stage? Strange noises.
Oh, thank you, Laurențiu. Good morning, everybody. Okay. Anybody know the song from the Beatles, All You Need Is Love? Well, let's sing it. All you need is love. Okay, well, that was not too bad. And that's really, really, really the core of everything is love. But how do we bring love into our lives, and how do we bring it into organizations? That's the question. Well, one of the ways we do it is through values. Now, Our first speaker today mentioned people and green and that worldview. And that's the worldview of values. And so we're going to explore that in the next hour. So where do we start? Hopefully with the next slide. Oops, not that one, this one. So last year, I write a book every year, and I can't help it, it's just what happens. And not last year, but the year before, I wrote this book, Everything I Learned About Values. There are a few copies for sale out here. And in that book, I talk about values in our personal lives, in our organizational lives, and in our societal lives. And I'm going to be talking today mainly about the second one. These are the three parts of the book. But I'm going to talk about values in our organizational lives. But the first question is, what are values? So just think for a second and turn to a neighbor, either left or right or behind or in front, and say, I'm going to tell you what I think values are. Go ahead. Okay. All right. I know I didn't give you much time, and that's because we came back from the break a little bit late, and I've got a lot to talk about. So what are values? The energetic drivers of our aspirations and intentions. That is the definition that I use. And why do I say energetic? Because when you talk to people about your values, you get very energized, because values are fundamentally important to the way we are in the world and how we show up. So why are values important? Because the decisions we make are a reflection of our values, and they're always directed towards a specific purpose. The satisfaction of our individual and collective needs. What does that mean? Whatever you need is what you value. Ever thought about that? Whatever you need is what you value. Or whatever you value, put another way, is what you need. Our values are an expression of our needs. So what are your values? Or you get a chance to talk to your neighbor again. Just write down or just think of 2 values that are really important to you, okay? And explain to your neighbor why they're important. But keep in the back of your mind this interesting idea that if these values are important to you, this is what you need in your life. Okay, go. Okay. One, two, three. Eyes on me. Hello. So, how did that make you feel when you were talking to your neighbor about your values?
Emotion.
Emotion.
Very happy and with joy.
Very happy with joy. I'm going to get some men in on the act because women are very easy. And I noticed that this man here, he was talking so much.
It was difficult somehow.
What was difficult?
To express your values.
Yeah. It is more difficult for men. How did you feel?
I'm not feeling so comfortable because my perception about the environment, about the life, and I need to explain him why am I seeing like this.
Yeah. You know, talking about values can be very scary. Yeah, how was it for you? What did you feel?
I felt listened, and I felt like my conversation partner offered me active listening.
Brilliant, well done.
Thank you. I think the same way, but it helps because we know each other and we share some common values.
Okay, so when you talk to somebody about their values and your values, you connect at a deep level. Why? Because they are the drivers of your energy, you see. Values are the energetic drivers of our aspirations and intentions. Oh, let me not exclude you. How did you feel?
Listened.
You felt listened to. And how did that make you feel?
Happy.
Happy. Well, you're all coaches, so you know how to listen. Okay. So let's think about how we can use values to map consciousness in organizations. And I'm going to be talking about the 7 levels of consciousness model. I won't be going into too much detail, but you can find out about it by going to my websites and reading my books. Each level of consciousness reflects particular values. So if you tell me your values, I can tell you what level of consciousness you're operating from. How marvelous is that? What value did you choose?
Freedom.
Freedom, level 4. What value did you choose?
Ethics.
Ethics, level 7. What value did you choose?
Integrity.
Level 5. What value did you choose?
Kindness by...
Kindness. Yeah, how lovely. What value did you choose?
Love.
Love. How lovely. But each value belongs to a level of consciousness. So Maslow said that he had this hierarchy of needs. And what I said was, well, you know what? We can expand this model because Maslow did not go into great detail on growth needs. He went into great detail on deficiency needs. These are the needs that we have. We don't get any sense of lasting satisfaction from satisfying these needs, but we feel incomplete if these needs are not met. Whereas our growth needs, the more that we express our growth needs, the more we want to deal with that. So I took Maslow's model, I expanded this sense of self-actualization, and I shifted it from needs to consciousness. And each state of consciousness is defined by specific values. So I just did a little example of some values and what levels of consciousness. So if we ask people, what are your values? We can plot their consciousness. If we ask people in organizations, what values do you see in your organization? We can plot the consciousness of the organization. If we ask employees, what values would you like to see? We can see where they would like to go. So there are at the first three levels, which represent the sense of ego, positive and limiting. We see that at level 1, health and survival is important. But if you have some limiting beliefs, you also see control and greed showing up at the bottom there. So there's a positive aspect and a limiting aspect to these first three levels of consciousness. So at level 2, it's about feeling loved, cherished and connected. But also, at the relationship level, there are limiting values like blame and jealousy. So being liked can be a limiting value, because if I want you to like me, I may not tell you the truth. I'll only tell you my version of the truth so that you will like me. Now, we don't want people doing that. We want honesty. Level 5. So these, the same at level 3. It's about self-worth. Now, if we have a poor sense of self-worth, then we are going to look to have power and status in our world, so that you will look at me and think, oh, that person really is very, very important. We want to feel important, but actually, the people who are really important don't need to feel important. They're just themselves. They don't need power. They don't need all of this worship. And then we move to personal growth. Understanding your deepest motivations, experience. This is where we have this sense of responsible freedom and accountability. And then we want to find meaning in our lives, so we want to express who we are. And so if you're an organization, if you can't express who you are, you're going to feel very unhappy and stressed. And then we want to be able to collaborate with other people in order that we can make a difference. So to do that, we need to connect with them. And if we're not very good at emotional intelligence, then we'll find it very difficult to connect and make a difference. And then finally, we want to be of service to the world and to the planet. And so all of these 7 levels of consciousness explore how we are individually, how an organization is, and how society is. Now, this is what it looks like was at the personal level. This is what it looks like at the organizational level, and it's just very similar. So the first 3 levels are financial stability, sense of belonging, high performance, continuous renewal and learning, building a corporate community, strategic alliances and partnerships, and service to humanity and the planet. So these are the 7 levels of consciousness applied to individuals and organizations. So now let's take a different look. On our website, we have valuescenter.com/PVA, which is personal values assessment. That is a free assessment that you can do to map your personal values. And I'm going to show you some data now. After 3 or 4 years, we had 500,000 people in the world who'd done this personal values assessment, and I want to show you what the results look like. So these are the top 10 values of 500,000 people from all over the world. Family, number 1 value. It's relationship, level 2. Number 2 value, humor and fun. Yay! Level 5, builds a sense of internal cohesion. Caring, level 2. Respect, level 2. Friendship, level 2. Are you seeing a pattern here? Our most important values are all about relationships to the significant others in our lives. Oh, trust. Now we're talking about internal cohesion in the communities and in our organizations. Oh, enthusiasm, level 5. Commitment, level 5. Creativity, level 5. Are we seeing a pattern here? Yes. Because at level 5, we're exploring the deeper sense of who we are and how we connect with other people. And then finally, the 10th most important value was lifetime learning, continuous learning. So we want to grow and develop, basically, but we want to grow, but on the basis of that, we need, first of all, to build strong relationships so we feel safe in our personal lives, and then we want to build a sense of community and explore our self-expression at level 5. So, I'm sorry about this slide. 5 of the top values are about how we relate to people in our lives, and 4 of the top values are about how we relate to ourselves, who we are. So this suggests that self-expression is also a fundamental priority. Because at level 5, you remember, it was creativity, enthusiasm, etc. So the results indicate that we prioritize interpersonal safety over self-expression. Only when do we feel free to express who we are, then we move to the self-expression values. And in other words, Maslow's theory is correct. First of all, we focus on our deficiency needs, important needs at the first 3 levels, and then we focus on our growth needs. Furthermore, the ability to develop and grow through continual learning is of significant importance to us. I don't have to explain that to this audience. You all know that. You wouldn't be here if you didn't know that. We cannot grow and develop unless we feel safe. And once we feel safe, then self-actualization becomes our main priority. And what is self-actualization about? Self-expression! If we want to build a positive future for everyone, we must create the conditions that allow people to feel safe, especially our children, and support everyone in their self-expression. And this includes people in organizations. Now, I've been talking about levels of consciousness. Now, we can operate at any level of consciousness at any moment in time. But the level of consciousness we will normally operate from will depend on the stage of psychological development we've reached. So there are 7 stages of psychological development, and I'm going to talk about those in a minute. And, by the way, we live inside cultural worldviews, and we heard about that first thing this morning. I have taken that work of Lalou and his predecessor, Don Beck, etc., and I've expanded it to a whole new level. I'm not going to go into that in too much detail right now. But let's look at the level of consciousness we normally operate from represents the stage of development we've reached. So here are the 7 stages of psychological development. So watch carefully as to where you are. It actually aligns very strongly with age. But at some point, if we had a really tough first 24 years of our lives, we will have developed limiting beliefs that prevent us from moving to the 4th stage of development, like individuation. And there is one person we all know who has that problem. He happens to be the President of America. So as our needs change at each stage of psychological development, some of our values also change. Because if our needs change, our values change. Our values are a reflection of our needs. So first stage is surviving. This is from the moment of inception, 9 months in the womb, and first 18 months to 2 years of our lives. We are focused on one thing, survival. And we only have one brain that is operating. It's called the reptilian mind brain. And the other mind brains are growing, but they're not developing. They're not dominant. The reptilian mind brain is dominant, and basically it's all about survival. Next comes the conforming stage. From around the age of 2, our limbic mind brain, the emotional mind, begins to become dominant, and we need to be loved. And then from about the age of 8, upwards to around 22, our rational mind, the neocortex, becomes dominant and continues growing and developing. We don't have fully functioning brains until we're around 22 or 23. So if you know any teenagers, you know they don't have a fully functioning mind brain. That's why they do stupid things. That's why you did stupid things. Let me repeat, you do not have a fully functioning mind brain until you are about 22 or 23. And if you don't get past the individuating stage, well, you may stay that way for the rest of your life if you're not careful. Then comes the most important stage, is individuating. This is the stage where you remove the mask of reality, because during these first 20-odd years of your life, you want to fit into your environment, you want to fit into your culture, you want to fit into your parents' wishes, but in order to do that, you become not who you are, you become the person who's conformed to the situation you've been in. Once you get to around 22, 23, 24, and you actually leave home, and you may go to college, or you may travel the world, then you begin the process of individuating. Now, most of the people on the planet never get to do that because they live in poor countries. They never get the opportunity to go to college or travel. And they live in repressive regimes which don't allow free thinking. The former USSR, and even your country going back many years, anybody with freedom of thinking was locked up. Individuating was not allowed in North Korea. You have to conform. So many people live in repressive regimes, and then other people have such difficult childhoods that their limiting beliefs about how they have to be in the world control everything, and they're not able to individuate and self-actualize, which applies to the person I mentioned earlier. Then comes self-actualization in the 40s, and then integrating in the 50s, and serving in the 60s. I'm going to go into more detail on those right now, but during these first 3 stages of development, it's really about the development of the ego, and during the last 3 stages of development, it's about the evolution of the soul in your life. Okay, let me just ask a simple question. Well, I'm going to do it in 2 ways. One, I want you to stand up if this statement is true for you, and if it's not true for you, just stay sitting. Okay, you ready? I have a television. If it's true for you, you can stand up. If it's not, you stay sitting. I have a television. Okay, right? Okay, very good. All right. Okay, sit down. Next question. Are you ready? I am a television. Microphone not working. Oh, there we go. I have an ego. We did that. I am an ego. Okay. I have a soul. Look around. Sit down. I am a soul. Look around. Sit down. Now, you're very clear about whether you have a television or you are a television. You're very clear about whether you have an ego or you are an ego. But you're all totally confused about whether you have a soul or you are a soul. Otherwise, why would you stand up to both? Ask yourself that question. Why did I stand up to both of these? Time for reflection. Well, the truth is, you don't have a soul. You are the soul. The soul incarnated into your body. And you are living the life of the soul, except that around the age of 18 months, the soul found it so painful to be in this life of separation that it created the psychic entity we call the ego, and the ego took over to protect the soul. And then the ego ran away with its responsibility, because it had to learn to be in this world in order to protect the soul. And when you get to the individuating stage, that's the stage where you learn to let go of the fears that you learned, your ego learned, in order to stay safe and feel secure in this physical world. So the truth is, you are a soul. And the second part of the 7 levels from self-actualization is all about the activation of the soul. And there are 3 things the soul comes to do. 1, self-express. 2, connect. 3, contribute. From the ego's perspective, we talk about finding meaning and purpose in your life. Forget that. It's self-expression. Then they talk about making a difference. Forget that. It's about connection, because if you can't connect, you can't make a difference. And point 3, we talk about being of service. Forget that. It's all about contribution. Because if you want to live the life of your soul, you have to self-express, connect, and contribute. It's as simple as that. But you have to overcome your fears in order to do it, which is not easy. And that's what coaches help people to do. Surviving. It's about staying alive. It's about getting your basic physiological needs met, and it's about your need to manage your environment. Now, as a baby, you have very few ways of connecting to your environment. You can cry, you can make funny faces, you can smile, but this is the only way that you connect with your environment. And if your caregivers, if your parents are not attentive, you learn that the world is unsafe, because if you had a caring parent, your needs would be met immediately. But your needs are not met immediately, and you learn the world is unsafe. These people grow up to be micromanagers because they can't trust their environment. Next, conforming, keeping safe in your parental arena, learning to be loved, need to feel acceptance and belonging. So if you don't get those needs met, you will grow up with the idea that you are not lovable. So on the first one, you grow up with, I don't have enough, because your needs were not met. In the second one, here you learn the belief, I'm not lovable. And then we go to the third stage, differentiating, 0 to 24 roughly, 8 to 24, feeling secure in your external environment with your peers. Because now you're moving out of the home into school and into organizations, and you want to feel safe and secure. In order to feel secure, you have to be recognized. And if you're not recognized, then you will not be part of a group. So if you go to America and you look at all of the school shootings that take place, these are teenagers who are not recognized by their parents, nor they're not part of a group in their peer group, and they're looking to be recognized, and they take the ultimate solution. You're going to recognize me because I'm going to make your life hell. So these are the first 3 things that we need to learn. We want to feel that our needs are met, we want to feel loved, and we want to feel recognized. And if you get to the age of 24 and you've met all of those needs, good luck, because very few of us do. We all have some inhibitions and some limiting beliefs. Your job as coaches is to recognize that and help people move on. Help them to individuate. Release your fears. Find responsibility and accountability for your life, and to do that you need freedom and autonomy. And if you live in a repressive regime, you don't have it. If you live in a regime where your parents tell you what to do all the time, you don't have it. So now we move through this and we move to self-actualization. And there's a reason why this is a picture of a lady. I'm going to explain why. Self-expression, becoming fully who you are, and the need for meaning and purpose. Or in other words, yes, self-expression. Why is this a lady? Because if you're a woman, you maybe have a husband, you maybe have children, you maybe have aging parents. Who comes last? So, are you able to self-express if you come last? So there's a link between these stages of psychological development and physical and mental health. The issue with self-expression in the 40s leads to breast cancer. I've written about this in my book, A New Psychology of Human Wellbeing. I've linked the stages of development to the chakra system, to the leading causes of death and mental illness. For men, the problem comes at the next stage. Connecting, unconditional loving relationships and empathy, a desire to make a difference. What do we learn as young boys? Be strong. Don't show your feelings. And so we shut down. When it comes to the 6th stage of development, we can't connect because we don't know how to get in touch with our feelings. We have emotional intelligence in the soul, but not in our lives. We don't know. And that leads to prostate cancer in the late 50s. And then finally, we get to the serving stage, contributing, selfless service, compassion, the desire to serve the greater good. Now, if you don't do that, if you can't do that, well, it leads to diseases of the brain, early dementia, Alzheimer's, etc. So, fundamental is individuating. If we don't move beyond the differentiating stage, we'll always operate from self-interest. We can only separate from the common good, operate from the common good if we move beyond the individuating stage. I didn't know he was going to show up. In 2010, I wrote a book called The New Leadership Paradigm. And I didn't know at the time, but I actually plotted Donald Trump's values from his books. I went to his books and I read his book on leadership, and these are his top 10 values based on his book. You can't see them very clearly here, but these are the top 10 values. These are the positive values are blue, and the limiting values are white. Ruthlessness at level 1, revenge at level 2, and image at level 3. He had a terrible time in his childhood. He developed limiting beliefs about all of these issues. And look, what you see here, there is a toxic mixture of values. Revenge and ruthlessness, when you combine it with winning and disciplined, means you better watch out. If you get on the wrong side of Donald Trump, you're going to get it. Which is what we see. And what we see also are all these unmet needs from the first 24 years of his life. Not loved enough, so did not have enough, wasn't loved enough, and is not enough. And these dominate the rest of his life. And he will never individuate now, it's too late. What stages of development are you at? Discuss with your neighbor. Where are you on this pattern of... Your age is a clue. There you are. Okay. Now, in an audience like this, I might expect some of you to be a little more advanced. But the biggest question I get, or comment, is from the millennials who are in their late 20s and early 30s, and they say, I'm really into making a difference. I'm at the integrating stage. And I say, no, you're not. Why? Because where is this making a difference coming from? It's generally coming from a sense of achievement or correcting the wrongs in society, injustice. If you're really at the integrating stage of development, that's the sixth stage, it comes from empathy. It comes from making a difference, comes from empathy. It doesn't come from righting wrongs, injustice. And so I've talked to many millennials about it, and when I explain that, they go, ah, yeah, I get it. I am at the individuating stage. It's very interesting. Everybody wants to be higher. It's natural, isn't it? Where does wanting to be higher come from? It comes from the ego. It wants, oh my God, I want to be up there. You are where you are. And these stages apply to everybody. So now let's get to the main point. What motivates employees is the satisfaction of their needs. So if you know where your employees are in these stages of psychological development, then you can satisfy their needs. So if you've got them at the individuating stage, 25 to 39, what do they need? They want freedom to explore who they are. They want to seek opportunities and challenges to have responsibility and be accountable. That's what they need. And what do the next group need? They need to fully express who they are at the deepest level of their being, from their soul's unique gift, contribution to the world. That's what they need. And if you're at the next stage, in 50 to 59, you want to connect so that you can make a difference in the world. So, if you have employees at these stages, this is what they want. And you can design your organization to give it to them. Now, let me explain something. If you have an organization which employs people, let me think of something. Oh, yes. If you've got to run a supermarket chain, like, you know, where you've got 50,000 people, and most of them are all sitting behind tills or moving, these are people who never had the chance to individuate. So they're not looking for these higher order needs. They're looking for their deficiency needs. They want to have a good money, and they want to have friends, and they want opportunities to grow in their particular place. So this applies to people who are individuating and self-actualizing, which mostly occurs in our modern businesses, in the service sector, because these are people with education, they've been to university, etc., etc. This means you've got to become a deliberately developmental organization. This is an idea of Robert Keegan. I love it. A deliberately developmental organization is built around the simple but radical conviction that an organization will best prosper when it is more deeply aligned with people's strongest motives, which is to grow. This means building an organizational culture where supporting people's development is woven into the fabric of working life, the regular operations, routines, and conversations. When you help employees to grow, they respond in many ways. They become highly engaged, they become passionate about the company, they bring their passion to their work. They are willing to invest discretionary energy. What's that? Okay, we all have so much energy every day, and I can choose how to expend that energy. If I'm in love with my work, I will give a lot of my extra energy to my work. Otherwise, I'll go home and play computer games, or even at work, I will play computer games. They want the company to do the right thing. They're ethical. They want to feel pride in the way the company behaves, and they are committed and loyal. These are the people you want in your organization. Why are these organizations the most successful? Because they care about the needs of the employee. We understand your needs because we understand where you are on this developmental paradigm. They also care about their stakeholders, the customers, the suppliers, the investors in the community. Why are the values of your organization? What are the values of your organization? So now let's take a look at what's happening with you. Many of you work for yourselves, I know that, as coaches, but if you're a coach, think about an organization or people in an organization that you're working with, okay? And I want you to follow the following instructions. I'm afraid it means standing up and sitting down. You didn't know you were coming to an exercise class, but you are. Right, so please sit down if the following statements do not apply to your organization. So let's start by standing up. And sit down if this does not apply. Imagine a company that is conscious and fair in the way it sets prices and pay. Because it's moved beyond fear-driven greed, it's now profitable, financially stable, and creates a good shareholder return. It also provides safe and comfortable working conditions for its people. If this is true for you, stay standing, otherwise sit down. A few people sitting down. All right, stand up again. Level 2, when people walk into the office, each day they smile and greet each other warmly. There is a healthy sense of respect and customers feel well looked after. Stand up if it's good for you, sit down if it's not true. You can go on your knees if you want and pray. Okay, stand up. Level 3. The organization invests in high-performing systems. It trains its people to be excellent at doing their jobs, and the staff are proud to tell others who they work for. Stand up if that is true for you. Comme ci, comme ça. Level 4, the organization moves forward through innovation and continuous improvement. It has the adaptability and resilience to weather tough times. People feel empowered, have courage to ask tough questions, and it's okay to make mistakes. Okay, there are a lot more people sitting down now. You are either working in an organization like that, or you have a client who works in an organization like that. Okay, let's go on. People feel inspired by the vision and values. There are a high level of trust and a deep sense of purpose and fun and team spirit. Okay, everybody look around. Look around. Okay, everybody stand up. Stand up. Level 6. This is collaborative working environment for staff, customers, suppliers, and the community, where people focus on a win-win for all concerned. Strong focus on leadership development means that leaders are making sustainable difference inside and outside the organization. Okay. I have to say, we have a whole section here that is sitting down most of the time. All right, stand up. Lastly, for people in this organization, ethics is not about compliance, but doing what they believe is right in their hearts. There is knowing that by doing their jobs well, people are serving society and future generations. Okay, look around again. All right, we've got a lot to do, haven't we? We have a lot of work to do. Okay, everybody sit down. That's what I just went through. So just have a quick discussion with your neighbor. What levels of consciousness is your organization, or the one that you are representing, working from? Quick discussion with your neighbor, exchange views. Go. Okay, everybody. Whoa. How's it going so far? Everybody happy? Are you happy? Oh my God, no questions allowed.
Can an organization that is at level 7 actually fall down back to the bottom?
Okay, the idea is not higher isn't better. No. The ideal is full spectrum. You need to be able to operate at every level. Most corporations operate at the first 3 levels. Most not-for-profit organizations operate at the top 3 levels. But those not-for-profit organizations at the top 3 levels haven't got a clue how to make money, how to do relationships, or how to have high performance. Whereas the private companies, they know about that, but they don't know about the upper levels. The ideal is to be able to operate at all levels of consciousness. I call that full spectrum consciousness. I wrote about that in my book, The New Leadership Paradigm. And in that book, I talked about 4 leadership training programs. The first is leading self. The second is leading others, or a team, and then leading an organization and leading in society. If you can't lead yourself, you have no business leading a team. Let me repeat that. If you can't lead yourself, you have no business leading a team. In other words, you've got to have individuated and beginning self-actualization if you really want to lead other people. Point 2. Okay, these are the 7 levels of leadership. Level 1 is about managing crises. Level 2 is about managing relationships. Then we get into the organizer, high-performance systems and processes. Facilitator at level 4. And influencer, integrator, inspirer at level 5, mentor, partner level 6, and wisdom visionary at level 7. You'll find all that in my book, The Values-Driven Organization, Cultural Health and Employee Well-Being as a Pathway to Sustainable Performance. And what is culture? So culture are the values, beliefs, and behaviors that guide and define the way in which a group of people work together. Now comes the big question. Who creates the culture? The leaders do, okay? So, if you want to change the culture, what do you change? You either change the leaders or the leaders must change. Fundamental, absolutely fundamental if you want a high-performance organization in this modern age where people care about getting their needs met. You either change the leaders or the leaders must change. Organizations don't transform. No, they don't. People do. Organizational transformation begins with the personal transformation of the leaders. The leader and the values. Biggest selling book of ever, Tom Peters, In Search of Excellence. He says, clarifying the value system and breathing life into it are the greatest contributions a leader can make. And Rosabeth Moss-Kanter says, to be in the face of turbulence and change, culture and values become the major source of continuity and coherence of renewal and sustainability. Well, that's about it. If you want some free materials about all of this, you can go to thevaluescenter.com and you can download all of these free materials, and you can actually learn how to measure your culture. Find out what people's personal values are, what values they see in the organization, and what values they'd like to see in the organization. And you can compare each of these and get a detailed diagnostic of what is working and not working in your organization. So, recently, in addition, I've started the Barrett Academy for the Advancement of Human Values. It goes beyond organizational work. So Barrett Value Center is still there working in organizations. I'm now working in the deep personal change in terms of ego-soul dynamics and societal change. We've mapped the values of 27 nations. I've mapped the consciousness of 145 nations. You can go onto this website and you can see where your nation is in terms of the evolution of consciousness of your nation. And here's a free gift. If you go to this, you can fill out the survey form and do the personal values assessment. I'll give you a 20 or 30-minute feedback session, no charge, exploring the stages of psychological development that you're at. Okay? What else? That's it. Thank you.
Well, that's Richard for you. So everybody will be getting the presentations. So that's good news. That's good news. You can applaud now. Yay, we're getting the presentations. Cool, great stuff. Now, remember the first level of basic human needs, and I have a saying here, never get in the way of somebody and their lunch. So, Room Venezia is lunch. See you back in 1 hour. Not back, sorry, not back. Workshops. Each of you, if you look on your badge, you have the workshop you will be attending marked. Yeah? So all the workshops are happening upstairs. So after lunch, go upstairs, first floor, and you will see the workshop rooms, except for the people going to Rodica Obancha, who will remain here. So enjoy your lunches, everybody. Exciting times.